Hello, everyone. Thank you for watching another episode of Happiness with Pirate. And today we talk about how to manifest happiness. And our guest is manifestation coach Elizabeth Watson. Hi, Elizabeth.
Hi, Vera. It's lovely to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited about this. So, tell us a little bit about yourself and what do you do?
Well, thank you for asking. So, I am Elizabeth, as you said. I am a certified mindset and manifestation coach, as well as an intuitive empathic reader. And even more important than that, I'm a mom of three, a wife, and I keep busy, busy, busy. But this is my passion, and this topic, especially, is near and dear to my heart. And I just love working with people, especially busy moms like me, business owners who are just bogged down in the day to day, because all of us feel like we're missing something oftentimes. No matter how fulfilling our lives are, there's always something that we kind of feel like is not quite there yet. There's always something we're working towards. And one of the things that cracks me up about manifestation is that at its core, all of us are working to just be happier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it means different thing for everybody. Like everybody, like the feeling of happiness is different for everyone. So the way I see it, it's important to know what it's for you. You know,
Exactly.
like you saying, like everybody is missing, like has this feeling that they're missing for something. And I like the way you were saying, like it's because usually everybody working towards something next.
Yes.
And
Yes.
actually it's not a bad thing. This is the way
No.
things are supposed to be. But it's
Hmm.
kind of like somehow we've started thinking that it's kind of like it's something wrong because we feel like something's missing. But now when you pointed it out, it's just because we're always working towards something next. So
Yes.
actually that feeling, we should add like positive thoughts to that feeling.
So it's funny because if I asked you, what is happiness? What is happiness? When you ask people that, they kind of go, well, I mean, it's feeling good, right? It's when you laugh. It's just when good things happen. It's joy. It's this, the other. But when you really want someone to define it for you, that's when it gets very personal because what happiness is, what generates happiness for each of us is incredibly unique and
Mhm.
individualistic. It's based off of our core beliefs. It's based off of what we identify as. So, I introduced myself as a mother. That's one of my cores. That's one of the roles I choose to be the the base of who I am.
Mhm.
So a lot of my happiness is related to my kids and my family. Someone else could choose their career as their happiness. And this will get a lot of flack, but
Mhm.
that's okay because it is okay to have a career that you're passionate about, that you really, really love the accomplishment of having. And it's not a bad thing. And if that's where your core is, if that's what you choose to identify as, then you have a lot of happiness interrelated with your career and working towards it, advancing towards it. And it's not a bad, as you said, it's not a bad thing to want more. We are born with a capacity for such greatness and we are always growing, evolving, changing. It's okay to want more because that is where we find our greatest ingenuity. That is where the imagination opens up worlds we could not have thought of possible. You know, 5, 10 years ago, what we live as our truth today is vastly different than anything
Very
our
different.
parents, our grandparents, heck, our great grandparents would have thought total sci fi, right? So it's okay to want more. The trick is not letting that future focus breed feelings of lack in the moment.
Yes.
So it's about finding that fine line where you are open and working towards something more, something better, without sacrificing in the now, without letting yourself be so bogged down in the past or so consumed by the lack of what you think is going to make you happy now that you spend all your time miserable because you don't have what you want for the future.
Yes.
And there's a lot of psychology behind this, which is kind of one of my jams. I love that. But
Mm-hmm.
It's about understanding what happiness is to you. And this is a question not a lot of us get asked. And it's something I work with my clients on. There's a whole segment we work on is where I say, okay, I want you to sit and I want you to think about what makes you truly happy. What does that feel like to you? And you don't have to tell me about it because sometimes it defies words, but we all know what that feeling is.
Mm-hmm.
You can think of a time when you were truly happy.
Yeah.
You can think of more than one when you start to get in that zone. And then you can think about, okay, what does that feel like in my body? Does my heart beat faster? Am I breathing a little faster? Do I get tingles? What is the feeling, the sensation, the physical sensation in my body? What is it like emotionally? Am I lighter? Am I just joyful? Am I, back to that innocent, naive, youthful feel of happiness and joy? Is it something I want to hold on to? Is it something I want to share? None, none of this is bad. It's
Mhm.
just about identifying what it is for us. And once you know what that is, then you can start to be like, okay, so this is a time I felt happy. And this is a time I felt happy. And this is a time I felt happy. And once you start to do that, you'll begin to see patterns emerge. You'll begin to see what some of these common unifying themes are. And the beautiful thing about that is that then you can begin to generate happiness every single day. You can make happiness a choice and you can choose to be in happiness. And the amazing thing is, and when you get really good at this, is you can even use that when you start to have a bad day, when you start to feel bad, when something bad happens, you can then take this power you have of knowing what your happiness is, knowing how to generate it, independent of any acquisition, any material thing, any trigger. You can be like, okay, I know that happiness feels like this, and I know that if I do this, I'm going to start to feel it. And you'll even start laughing in the
Mhm.
face of horrible, horrible
Uh-huh.
days, right?
Yes. And that's so important to know. That's so important to know that you can change any day to uh to feeling better, even if there's like really hard day or something, like let's say it's a tragic something, you can at least have a little bit of better feeling on that moment as well. Like,
You really can.
hmm, okay.
And it
So I was,
it
I,
sounds simplistic, but it can come down to a choice. You can
yes.
actually choose to be happy more and more often when you are aware.
Hmm. I was thinking one like really cool example of how to say how different is happiness for each person. It's like your own fingerprint. Because I was just thinking it's pretty much like your own fingerprint. Because if you try to live somebody else's happiness, it's not going to work for you. Like there's some
Yes.
general things like gratefulness and things that work for everybody, but like you have to know what is your own. Because I had one time I had one podcast and we talked with two people and one like showers and one like bathtubs.
Hmm.
So if I would tell that one that like showers that to be happy you have to take a bathtub, that's not going to work for her
No, no,
because that's not her thing.
no. She'd be
Yeah.
miserable.
So that's why people when they try to do something, and sometimes it helps to find the things that make you happy. Do you see what other people feel do to feel happy? You try it, and but then you have to decide: did it work and did it work? So if it didn't work for you, then you try something else. If it did work, then you can do it again to make yourself feel happy as well. So you're
Yes,
learning from others.
yes. And some people will find that they struggle feeling happy. And if this is you, it's okay. I have wonderful news for you. It doesn't have to always be a struggle because I like to equate this very much with one of my kids' favorite movies, and that's Inside Out. If you've
Hmm.
never seen it before, it's about a young girl who is navigating her like preteens and she has this drastic move and she's trying to find her identity. And the movie is not told from her standpoint, but from her emotions. And it's all inside her head. And there's there's a character for joy and sadness and fear and disgust and anger. And what I find fascinating about this movie, what they did so well, is they also show the emotions inside like her parents and her peers and things. And there's one emotion that is always the dominant one. It's kind of like the leader. It's the one that all the other emotions look to. It's the one that's
Mhm.
kind of running the show. And they all interplay and they all have their moments where they shine, but there's one emotion that's always in charge.
Mhm.
And from a psychological standpoint, we call that your emotional set point.
Yes.
And that is developed through your life experiences. That is a thing that is definitely instilled in your youth, how you are raised, the people you're around, what you are taught to value will create your emotional set point.
Mhm.
And if you think of, your emotions and your day and your reactions as like a pendulum, when you have good days, you're way, way up at the top, and then you have a bad day and you come down to the bottom, and then maybe you swing to the other side and you're angry or something. But it's always in motion. And when there's no outside impetus, it's kind of like, where does it stop? That's your
Mhm.
set point. What is the thing that you kind of default to when you're in a new situation? What is the emotion that you go to fastest? And
Yeah.
for me, it was not always happiness. I was a person who I talked about myself as a realist, but I was very much a pessimist.
Mhm.
And from a childhood abuse background and just all sorts of things, I grew up with a lot of self-esteem issues. And so I would come to a set point of not great emotions. It was
Was
not great.
was that when you were younger, before your family and kids, or was that in the
It
beginning
was
of your family and kids as well? Like how when
even
did
into
you
my
change?
30s, even yeah, even into my 30s, even as I was having my children initially. When it started to change was when I took control of my health and fitness journey because I had medical conditions that were going to make being a mom difficult. They were going to cause complications in conception and carrying a child healthfully to term, but I knew I wanted to be a mom. And I couldn't control these things that I had due to the nature of them, but I
Mhm.
could control my nutrition, my exercise, and just getting healthier in general to help the process along. And in that process, I lost over 100 pounds and
Oh, wow.
successfully kept it off and kept going through two pregnancies and childbirth experiences. And that was when I really came to the understanding of how powerful mindset was. So that was my mid to late 20s, early 30s, was when I was going through this transition. And I realized I was not a very happy person.
Mhm.
And I didn't like that very much about myself. And so, you feel like, okay, well, this is just who I am, but it's not. And when you come to the understanding that you have some control over that, you can actually choose to change it. And it's not a quick process. Don't think it's like oh, I just decide I'm going to be a happy person now.
Yeah.
You can't unlearn a lifetime of habits and beliefs and behaviors just by deciding so. But you can decide to make the change. You can
Yeah.
decide to start to see the good in a day, to start to look at things from a different perspective, because our perspective is incredibly powerful. That is what shapes our reality. So you can look at, you wake up late and you spill your coffee and you find out traffic is going to put you 30 minutes behind where you need to be. And you
Yes.
can look at that and be like, "Oh my god, worst day ever." And I'll tell you, it's going to be, because that's what you're
Mhm.
expecting, that's what you're looking for, and that's all you're gonna find evidence to reaffirm. But if you can be like, "Okay, I've got another shirt I can change into, I can just let them know I'm gonna be a little late, and I can put on a podcast to,
Mhm.
or, audiobook that's gonna help not focus on the traffic, and I'll, enhance some skills that I've been working on, and, when I get there, I can just shift a couple things around and be more productive and yeah, everybody's in the same traffic, we're all going to the same place, so I can just choose to laugh it off with the other person I know is going to be late with me, and just choose to see it from a different lens, just
Yeah.
choose where to have come at it from.
Mhm. Because a lot of people get, and that's what it takes. Everybody, the viewers, they have to understand that it takes practice. Like you said, it's not one day change and then every next day is gonna be. It takes constant practice, and like with week, 2 weeks, month, and like within a year, you will see a big change. But it takes practice. It takes practice, especially on those. moments where like you usually go to that old habit, or when you start like running that thought that okay, now the bad it's a bad day, it's a bad day. You just try to find new things why this day is bad, instead of like you were showing. You take a deep breath, you pause, and you start looking like, okay, it didn't go the way I planned it to go. That's the way it is all. So what's the next best thing? Or how can I turn it around to the better? Or how can I turn this to a positive outcome?
Exactly. Because we have no control over external stimuli. No matter how much we want to think we have control over our world, we just don't. There's too many people, there's too many factors, there's too much going on. It's not in our nature to control it all. We have no control over the external stuff. What we have control over is our reaction to it, is what we choose to see of it, is what we choose to make of it. And that is really the difference, not just with your emotions, but with so much in your life, is how you choose internally to process, to react to feel about external factors, to think about even, is going to make a drastic difference. And here's the thing, the traffic's going to happen anyway. You can't reverse time and wake up on time. You can't unspill the coffee. There's nothing you can do about that at this point. So, my question to you is, would you rather be miserable and angry and impatient? Or would you rather just take that breath, shift your focus a little bit, even if it's a conscious process at first?
Hmm.
Wouldn't it be nicer to just relax and let it happen and find something to be a little happier about? Like, wouldn't you rather have a good day than the crap day you're setting yourself up for?
Hmm. But for a lot of people, it's hard to get like that moment because it's already became a habit
Mhm.
from past, whatever the past like experiences were. So they already have this habit of like having that bad emotion and then get create more like bad emotions based on that.
Yeah, it's that
So
emotional set point.
so maybe that where the manifestation will come in to try to learn to change that habit.
That's what I do with my clients, is use the mindset on that aspect. Because the thing about manifestation is that we are doing it all the time. If you've ever been exposed to The Secret, as most people have, you'll know, and people, law of attraction experts will tell you, it is happening all the time. If 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 you're like, but I don't have, I'm never find the parking spaces they talk about. That's okay. But here's the thing. You're probably manifesting some of the things you didn't want, because whatever you are focused on, whatever you're fixated on, is what you are bringing more of into your world. And that happens from an emotional standpoint as well. The emotions are incredibly powerful. Your thoughts are what drive your manifestations. Your intentions are what drives your manifestations. Your emotions supercharge them.
Hmm.
So, whatever emotional state you are coming at a manifestation from is going to severely impact the process. So if you are coming at a manifestation from a place of, well, I just don't believe it, and I'm so frustrated that I don't have this, and I want it so bad, but I don't actually think I'm going to get it. So that makes me kind of ragey. Well, all that's going to happen is more evidence that you can't ever have that.
Hmm.
Whereas, and this is why I work with clients on finding that what happiness is to them, and how working on shifting that set point. When you send out happiness and joy and gratitude into the process, then that lifts you up to that level where all of these good things you want are. And we know we know scientifically actually that emotions have different frequencies. And things like happiness and joy and gratitude and love, those are vibrating at a much higher frequency. Whereas anger, despair, frustration, all of those things, fear, those vibrate very low.
Hmm.
And I guarantee you the things you want, because everything has an energy field, the things you want are not vibrating down here. Because if they were, you'd already have them. Because
Yeah. Okay.
you know, it's all very low frequency kind of stuff. And if you're asking for something high vibration, high frequency from a low frequency place, you can see how that's never going to happen. There's nothing to bridge the gap there.
Hmm.
So you have to work. at shifting that emotional set point. You have to spend conscious effort at it at first. And there are all kinds of tools that you can utilize. And the sweet spot that a lot of research has found is that if you can do something for 21 days, then you are beginning to build a habit.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can consciously focus on it for 21 days, for about a month, then after that, it doesn't require as much of that conscious effort. And it really begins to take on a life of its own. It starts to happen on its own. And it's so valuable to begin to shift that emotional set point because then amazing things happen. Even if you haven't manifested winning the lottery just
Mm-hmm.
yet, you'll find that you're noticing the little things in your life, the little kinds of abundance. Somebody bought you a coffee and you got an extra coupon that made something free, and somebody else gave you $50 for, a job well done or your birthday or something. And you can start to recognize all these little things that are adding up to quite a compound effect. And whereas you would have noticed them beforehand, but you wouldn't have really given much thought to it. Now you can be like, oh my gosh, yeah, this is awesome. I'm really enjoying this. Thank you so much. And the more you're in that state, the more you're in that recognition, acceptance, and gratitude state, the
Yeah.
more is going to come to you.
Yeah, I think that's really important as well, to be grateful for all those little things, big things that come to you. Like always, like I learned from one of the movies that I watched. It was like um, I think it was, there was something else before, but they were like that. The end sentence was "Thank you more, please." So if you tell the universe, you tell like thank you, yes, I love what you give me more. Cause you're saying like, so it's even for another person. If like, if it's somebody else gives you something because of they want to make you feel good and they feel good giving you something, and they give it to you and you tell them you sincerely thankful and you say thank you, they feel good, you feel good, and they feel they want to give more you know
It's true. It's
it's
100%
not
true.
selfish. It's just like, they just, everybody most people kind of love the giving point because it feels good to give.
It does. And you think about it when you think about giving a gift to someone, especially, like a child or just someone you care about. When you give them that gift, there's a very different reaction you feel when they're like, "Oh, okay, great, thanks. It's not what I asked for." Versus someone who's like, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much. This is so thoughtful of you. I can't even tell you. It makes me feel so good. Thank you." When someone is like that, you want to do more for them.
Yeah.
And you feel great. That makes you feel like, "Huh, I did something that made them feel this amazing. I am awesome. I want to feel this way some more. Who else can I give something to?" That's how
Exactly.
people get so into volunteering and community service. It just makes you feel so amazing to do things for other people and to feel like what you've done has made a difference. It's a little experiment, but I invite you to try this because it's something I did when I was beginning to shift my emotional set point. Um, you can start it by just start smiling. Genuinely smile at least 5 people in your day. Somebody in the grocery store, or the barista that hands you their coffee, or the coworker, even if they're always the sourpuss, especially if they're always the sourpuss. Genuinely smile at them. Like, not the fleeting, yeah, no, a real smile. Make eye contact. This is going to be uncomfortable, but make eye contact and smile for 3 seconds. A
Hmm.
real smile.
Yeah.
Yeah, you will see it begins to change. They cannot help but smile back at you, and not just the like head nod, yeah. No, they're genuinely going to smile. And when we smile, it's amazing. It doesn't even have to be a real smile, but the act of smiling, the physical act of smiling, releases the chemicals and hormones in your brain that cause you to be happy. You can literally hack your brain into this state of happiness just by the physical act of smiling.
Hmm.
And you can share that with someone. And if you want to take this further, if you want to be like the bonus advanced student kind of thing, give a genuine compliment to at least 3 people in a day. You know, when you
Mhm.
see someone who's wearing a shirt that you just think is gorgeous on them, or they have these beautiful eyes, or they're just being so kind and helping out, tell them. Actually tell them. I don't care if it's a random stranger, I don't care where you are or what you're doing, tell them and see what happens.
Mhm.
Because we're so quick to call people out on things that we don't like. And we have these thoughts, you know, we think, oh, wow, she looks gorgeous in that. Or wow, she has a beautiful figure. Or what a nice man to stop and pick that up. You know, he
Mhm.
didn't knock that over and he stopped and picked that all up. And so now the clerk doesn't have to. We think these things, but for some reason, we don't say them.
Mhm.
And I challenge you to say it because what you're going to find is that person is going to feel seen in a way that we don't on a daily basis. And that's going to make them feel good. And you're going to feel really good because you actually let that out. And the more we do this, you know, just one person doing 3 people a day, and then that person takes on that role, and then that person takes on that role. And my friends, this is going to be way better than paying for the person's Starbucks behind you in the line. You will see amazing things start to happen in your community. And even if you've just changed the day for that one person, you don't know how bad their day could have been. You don't know what they could have been going through, that you just gave
Mhm.
them that ray of light. And
Yeah.
you did that.
Yeah, it's acknowledge people like that acknowledgement that somebody sees them. You know, it makes such a big difference. But I teach the same thing with the smile. It's like the easiest part. Like if somebody doesn't know how happiness feels, I just tell them first thing like smile. They smile. And then I say, what did you felt? You know, and they say like, I felt good. I felt happy. And I was like, this is what the happiness feels like. So when you smile, this is the way happiness feels like. So that's a good. Like I wanted to step in one other thing as well before we talk more about manifestation. But I wanted to say like, you know, you were saying like high frequencies and low frequencies. A lot of people think that happiness is things, and they don't understand that happiness is not really things. That might be feeling that you're having with that thing, but just a thing doesn't make you happy. That's why we have a lot of people who have everything. They have like they're rich, they have money, they have houses, they have cars, they have everything, but they're not happy. And then we have people who have all those things and they are happy. And then we have people who don't have anything and they're not happy. And then we have people who don't have anything and they're really happy.
Hmm.
So you have to understand that things are not always, they mostly not the cause of happiness. There has to
No.
be feeling, either if there's a feeling towards that thing, could be. It's something like, let's say, you had a dream of owning your own house and you worked really hard to get it and you finally get your house, then you have feeling attached to that, like that is the happiness. But if you are having like you buying like that, let's say you have a lot of money and you bought one house, two houses, whatever, and you're just buying them for no feeling, that's not going to make you any happier.
Yeah. This is the way one of my coaches explained it to me, and when I was getting certified, it was um, you have to find the uncondition of happiness. Because when we are always only conditionally happy, I will be happy when I have this money. I will be happy when I own my home. I will happy when I drive that car. I'll be happy when I'm a parent. If you are only ever conditionally happy, I will only be happy with this, then you're never actually truly happy.
Yeah.
Because when you do get that house, then you're going to be like, okay, well, now I've got all these property taxes, and oh my gosh,
Hmm.
the plumbing I've got to fix for myself. And you're going to find all these ways to continue to be unhappy and set conditions for when you will feel happy.
Hmm.
You have to find a state of unconditioned happiness. And that's why you have to connect with what is the feeling of happiness to you? What does it feel like? And then think about ways that you felt that in the past, and you can find ways to generate it now. Maybe it's watching your favorite comedian until you're laughing so hard you're peeing. I mean, Sorry, I'm gonna be honest. I'm a mom. It happens. So, you can use that, and then you're gonna start to see more of the things that make you happy. You're gonna notice, "Oh my gosh, look at how beautiful these flowers are. Or look at the way the light is just filtering through those leaves, and it's just so beautiful." It sounds a little la 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 la, Susie Sunshine, but it's true. If you pause and you
Sure.
start to look, the small things are always there. There are always things around you that could generate that feeling of happiness if you know what to look for in yourself. And if you decide that you want to be a happier person, you have to detach that conditional status. You cannot put your happiness on things, on material things. They will come and go. You cannot put your happiness on other people. That is way too much on them. It is not fair to them, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not going to make either of you feel very good. And I say this as a mom who loves her kids and they make me happy, but I cannot rely on my children to make me happy. That is not healthy.
Mm-hmm.
That is not a way to live. It is not fair to them.
Yeah.
Like, they're kids. They should be kids. They are not responsible for my happiness,
Mm-hmm.
nor is my husband. He can be a part of generating my happiness, but he is not responsible for my happiness. I am responsible for it. You are responsible for your happiness. And when you accept that, you can start to look for ways, like I said, to feel more happiness in your daily life without it being conditional.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you can't. That's another mindset that a lot of people have. Like, uh, I need somebody to come and make me happy. So it doesn't even make sense. Like, so I want somebody to make me happy. It's like, if you don't know how to make yourself happy, then how do you gonna expect somebody else to know how to make you happy? You know?
Yeah, you're never going to feel truly happy when you're waiting for the perfect conditions or the perfect thing or the perfect person. It's it sends the wrong message. It's not actual happiness. And I talk about this a lot in um in the lottery winner example.
Okay.
These are the people who they just instantly have millions of dollars.
Okay.
And the sad fact is, staggering statistics show that they have lost the money in a year. They end up in huge depressive states, even to the point of committing suicide,
Yeah.
because these are people who were not ready for this. They had it dumped in their lap. They hadn't gone through the process of, being the kind of person who could have that, and not just from a budgeting standpoint or, not blowing it on all these random things kind of standpoint. It's the emotional, it's the mindset. They do not know how to handle it. They're not operating on a frequency where they can hold on to that. And they'll have all of these like root beliefs, these limiting beliefs that, oh, I can't have this and now everybody's just out to get me, and they'll find ways to self-sabotage. And it happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So from a manifestation standpoint, where this comes in a lot is preparing ourselves to be the person who can have all these beautiful things we want. Because I'm not telling you not to want the things. I mean, I'm manifesting a beautiful home for my family. I'm manifesting trips to Disney with my kids to watch all of that happen. But when you are manifesting, what I work with my clients on is getting to the root of why you want that. And
Yes.
it's always linked with some kind of emotion. You know, a home is going to help us feel secure and comfort, and it's going to provide space for my kids to play and grow. A trip to Disney is going to provide just all these joyful memories and all this fun for us. It comes back to these emotions. It comes back to something that has nothing to do with the thing itself. Because I can take my kids to the park tomorrow, the free public park, and they're going to make memories and they're going to have fun and we can laugh and run and play together. And it's going to be the same as spending thousands of dollars to go to Disney and get
Mm-hmm.
all the souvenirs. So if I can spend a state where we are genuinely happy when we're at that park, then we're going to know what that feels like. So when we do get to Disney, we can actually appreciate it. Because
Exactly.
that's the thing about the lottery winners is they got that state, but they don't know how to appreciate it. They don't know how to actually be in the moment and be happy for it. They don't know how to be grateful for it. And you have to teach yourself, you have to train yourself. Unfortunately, our society doesn't do a good job of that. So we have to consciously train ourselves to be in a place where we're going to be able to feel those things that we attach to all of these manifestations. Otherwise, when we get there, we're going to be like, okay, that was great. Now what?
Mm-hmm.
Next.
Mm-hmm. Or
Right.
you try to like go through and like try to do everything, and you're so frustrated about like trying to get to do everything and staying in lines and all the things, and you don't enjoy anything of it because you're just trying to get through all of those. You
Hmm.
don't enjoy any of the moments. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, like I like to go and like just enjoy, take it slower. Like when I go like the same way with my daughter, I go to places. It's okay if we're not gonna make to that next ride. We enjoy this one, you know?
Yes.
We'll try
Yes.
to make as much as possible, but we're also gonna make sure that we enjoy the ones that we're on.
Hmm.
Where it's not like just like have your like you have a plan. This, you go through the plan and then you were actually not none of them.
No,
You
you
were
didn't
actually not
experience the moment.
present in any of them.
Yeah. You were so fixated on the steps to get there that when you got there, you didn't even recognize it, let alone appreciate it.
Hmm.
And you put all this work into something that now you've basically let pass by. And
And
what
so
was the
many
point?
other situations are the same way. People go through other like weddings and things as well that they do like all the wedding planning, like all the steps and wedding, and they just more worried about how it looks like, what other people will think, what's the food, what's the this, and you don't enjoy any of it.
Hmm.
I see so many like situations or parties where people don't enjoy, they do it, but they don't enjoy that activity at all.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, with my own wedding, we um we had not been able to have a lot of people come. We'd invited people, we were expecting a decent amount, but then at the last minute something happened and a lot of like half the people who were going to come couldn't.
Mhm.
And the venue that we were having it at was they felt so bad for me. They're like, "Well, why don't we just wait another 5 minutes? Okay, let's just wait another 5 minutes. Maybe they'll get here." And I was like, "No," because I woke up that morning after having planned it a lot myself and put all this money we didn't have into it, and it's your wedding day, and we put so much on that. But I woke up that morning and I thought, I am going to enjoy this, no
Yes.
matter who is there, no matter what happens, no matter what goes right, what goes wrong, all the in betweens. I am going to just enjoy this. And I did. I held to
Mhm.
that and I said, nope, I'm getting married now. And who is there is who is there. And the people who I loved the most were there. And the
Mhm.
people who mattered most to me were there.
Mhm.
And in the end, I was married to the man of my dreams. And I got to eat beautiful food, be surrounded by people I love, dance and laugh and enjoy these beautiful moments. And there were things that happened that were not so great,
Mhm.
but there were things that happened that were beautiful. And I could have chosen to let those not so great things hold me, like our officiant. We tried to pay her it before and
Mhm.
she refused. And then she tracked me down right before I went into the reception to demand her payment.
Oh my gosh.
So you could see where I could like let that bug me
Mhm.
and, have that be a problem. My
Mhm.
shoes ripped my feet up something terrible because I didn't get a chance to
Mhm.
break them in beforehand. You could see where that could all be like very upsetting. But I also had this beautiful moment with my brand new father-in-law who took me aside and said he'd never thought he'd see as beautiful a bride as his wife on the wedding day, but that I was radiating and beautiful just like that. And he was so proud to call me his daughter.
Mhm.
And that moment, I mean, you can tell I hold on to it. It's been,
Mhm.
oh my goodness, 13 years, 13
Yeah,
years
and
since my
those
wedding
are the
day.
moments we have to hold on instead of holding on to those other moments, which a lot of people are having a habit of holding on those other moments, and which
Yes,
now when you have the happiness mindset, then you're holding on to those good moments
yes.
that you
And then
have
I
to
can use that
enjoy.
same process when it's harder. 'Cause, like, when my most recent my child, my 3rd child, we had his 1st birthday last year, and unbeknownst to us, we all got COVID.
Oh well.
Um, it was, the first resurgence of it was happening right then. Everything was supposed to be safe, everything was open. We went to the coast to have his birthday at a Airbnb, and, I was cooking all this amazing seafood. I was cooking the cake. I'm one of those people who like to have hands on it. I'm decorating all these DIY
Mhm.
decorations. And we had gone to his pediatrician right before we left to get his second COVID shot. And we were not aware that half the office had COVID at the time. So he and I were exposed to it. And, 3 days into our trip, when we're throwing this birthday party, we all got COVID. And so I am deathly ill with COVID, trying to cook, trying to decorate, trying to have this birthday party, trying to be in the moment and appreciate it. And that was hard. I'm not gonna lie, that was hard. And it if it had been, 10, 20 years earlier, I would have just been the person who was like, "This is so sucky. I did all this stuff and now it's just awful and everything's ruined and I can't appreciate any of it. We spent all this money." But because I've done this work, because I've done this mindset work, because I understand my happiness set point, because I know what truly matters, I could hold on to those moments where he saw his cake for the first time and his eyes just got,
Mhm.
and all of my family coming together to help me get the decorations up and how pretty it looked in the end because other people had hands on it and how much everybody enjoyed the food. And, I got to hold on to that. Even though it was an incredibly hard day, I
Mhm.
could hold on to those beautiful moments
Mhm.
because I know to do it, because I know to consciously make that choice.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like I would tell the viewers, like every time you have some kind of moment or you're doing something like trip or event or something like this, have a goal in your mind to enjoy it. Like I say, I'm going there to enjoy it.
Let
And
go of expectation because expectation is the enemy of joy every time.
mm-hmm. Yeah, but I mean, like if you and then you say like if anything goes wrong, not the way that I'm planning to go, it's okay. I'm gonna
Mhm.
find something else to enjoy. Or if there's nothing else to enjoy, then I'm gonna just say like, oh my god, that was like funny, craziest trip ever, you know? But I'm
Yeah,
usually that doesn't never happen. There's always something that was like really nice and fun and something to do like that.
and here's a fun thing you can try. When things don't go your way, when the plans completely fall apart, if you can start laughing at it, that's awesome, but you can start to look for, "Okay, so what happened instead? What
Mhm,
opportunity presented itself? What new experience did you have? Okay, so you were gonna go on this walking tour and you got completely lost. Did you end up in this most amazing part, this little quaint neighborhood you
mhm,
never would have found if you hadn't? Did you try, like, some local food that you never would have been exposed to if you were on that really regimented tour?" These things happen all the time.
mhm,
And, you like, what's that phrase? When people make plans, God laughs kinda thing. 'Cause, the universe knows better than we do what we want and what we're asking
mhm,
for. And when we open ourselves up to these spontaneous moments, to these unique opportunities that all of our plans getting blown out of the water present, we
mhm,
find that there's these amazing opportunities. And
mhm.
one of the things I often tell people is silver linings are always found in retrospect. And if
Mm,
you can get
okay.
in the habit of looking for those sooner, then you're gonna appreciate all of these amazing things that happen to you so much more.
Mhm. I like that the point that I worked at the same thing, like what happened instead. I pay
Mhm.
attention to like what happened instead all the time because you find so like you were saying, you find so many interesting things that happened instead of what you planned. If you open your eyes and you actually look for it.
Yeah,
So that's cool.
every time, every time.
Mhm. I wanted to see if you're like because we do the manifesting happiness. Like, do you have any like little exercise we can do now?
Yeah, to manifest.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
my
so with manifestation, there's a lot that you have to do in the beginning if with belief work. But when you wanna start with manifesting and you wanna start to, like, build your manifestation muscle and you start to, get in the mode, starting with small things is a really, really good way to do it. And, one example is you're always gonna find the parking spot that's in the perfect place at the perfect time. And so if you practice by, as you're driving to a place, maybe it's the market to get food, maybe it's, to work, maybe it's to your kid's school and you're going to manifest the perfect spot in the pickup line. So what you do is you think, okay, there is going to be the perfect parking spot and I will find it with ease. And you think that as you're driving. And then you start to see it in your mind. This is incredibly power. The power of visualization. I could go on a whole nother jag with this, but
Mhm.
visualization is incredibly powerful. So you see yourself pulling into that spot. You think about what are the mechanics of turning the wheel and, angling it all up and lifting your eyes and seeing that you are right there at the door, right? And, just that feeling of, oh my gosh, the perfect spot is right here for me. And you think about what does that feel like? From a physical turn the wheel sense to an internal emotional, I found the spot and it's awesome. And I can just walk
Mhm.
right in now. Visualize all of that from the visual to the sensory to the auditory, like all of it. And hold on to that as you're going. And you will be surprised how often it's just waiting for you. You can do
Mhm.
the same thing with like, this cup of coffee that I'm going for is going to taste like the best cup of coffee I have ever had. And you think about what does it taste like when you take that first sip? What is the temperature? What is the, flavor? What is that, first when it hits your system kind of thing feel like? The clearer you can see it and the clearer you understand how it's going to feel, the more you can send out this really powerful manifestation to the universe. And then be grateful for it. Be grateful in advance. Be grateful independent of this thing. Let those emotions just flow out of you. I'm
Mhm.
going to find the perfect parking space and I am just so grateful for it. And here's the thing about gratitude. When we are in a state of gratitude, we can feel no other emotion. If you try this, when I heard this the first time, it blew my mind.
Mhm.
It is such a powerful emotion that there's no room for anything else. We can feel love and kind of hate at the same time, but gratitude is so powerful that it has no room for anything else. So always end your visualizations or reaffirm them with gratitude and own it in the now. Noticed how when I said, I am parking in this spot with ease, that is in the perfect place and perfect time. Own it now. Make it now. And what will happen is that your brain will decide, oh, okay, this has happened or this is happening. And okay, so now it's open to seeing. Maybe you wouldn't have seen those reverse lights from that person pulling out of the perfect spot because you were too busy looking around before. But now your brain knows that that's what's going to happen. That is what is happening. And it's going to say, hey, look, right there, perfect spot.
Mhm. It's like creating it in front of you. You ask for it, and it's just like the universe creates it like around you, just makes it like already arranging everything that's not actually relevant to you, makes all the other points to come together in the same moment in the same place as well. So that's
Absolutely.
cool. hmm I want to
Yeah,
talk
it's pure
a little
magic.
bit. I want to talk a little bit about self-sabotaging as well, because that's a big deal. Like people don't understand. It's so like a lot of time it's so subconscious. They don't understand that it's doing like even like a lot of situations I see when people self-sabotage, they get sick.
Hmm.
They get sick and they think the sickness is not related to self-sabotaging. They don't put those two things together. But actually, like I see situations where there's clients where they want something, they have opportunity to do it, but then they get sick and they're gonna miss the opportunity.
Yeah. So when I work with my clients, the first 4 weeks of our time in my 12-week program is all about your beliefs because belief is absolutely foundational to this process. And we have adopted so many of these beliefs that limit us through well-intentioned adults, your parents, your teachers, your community leaders. They're all trying to raise you to be a safe, self-sufficient human being. But what they end up doing is teaching you that you can't have this, that you shouldn't do that, that you are not allowed to be this.
Mm-hmm.
And that stays with us because we absorb so much in our first 7 years, and then it just gets repeated over and over again through our culture, through our society, through our life experiences, and it just ingrains itself in ways that would surprise you. So you have to start to be aware of where those beliefs are, because those beliefs, your belief systems, will drive your unconscious behaviors. And research has shown that more than 40% of our daily behavior, our daily routines and things is subconsciously driven. You know,
Mhm.
it's that autopilot driving to the place you always know about. It's that brushing your teeth, taking a shower, washing the dishes. You don't think about these things, but you
Mhm.
just do them. And your beliefs, your subconscious, your unconscious, those are the things that drive those. And these beliefs that we have shape what you're doing. So you can unconsciously be sabotaging yourself from opportunities, from relationships, from chances to be happy because you don't actually believe you deserve any of these things,
Mhm.
because you have this unconscious belief that you are not lovable, or that you are not worthy, or that you don't actually believe that you're allowed to have money to any certain degree because you were raised around people who believed that you only have this much money and it's very scarce and you have to work really really hard to get it, and you're going to lose it before you've even had a chance to enjoy it. And so that's the pattern that you repeat. And there's all these things that you'll probably not even see that could have taken you out of that state because you do not believe you deserve it. And, that inner critic that's always going, that's an example of these things. That voice that tells you, oh, you're not smart enough. You're not young enough. You're not thin enough. That is an example of these beliefs. And they will get you every single time. And you won't notice them because it is happening subconsciously, because
Mhm.
you've lived your whole life with them. They contribute to your emotional set point as well, by the way. It's the same process that makes limiting beliefs in your emotional set point. So you have to be aware of them first and foremost. And you can find them through the stories that you tell yourself. So things like if I said life is, the word that you throw in there or the phrase you throw in there kind of tells you what your belief system is. Some people will say, oh, life is hard. Well, by and large, it's going to be hard for you then
Mhm.
because you've decided that it is. Some people will say, life is like a box of chocolates. Well, then you're going to have all sorts of fun and find sweet things, but you may kind of overdo it. There might be some excess that you have to look at in that.
Mhm.
And it's just a little phrase, but that is how they start and that is where they ingrain. And that is what kind of branches out into all of these defining behaviors. So when you find yourself repeating patterns, if you're always in the same kind of relationships, you're always in the same kind of jobs, that is indicative of what your beliefs are, of what you believe you deserve, of what you believe you are capable of. If you always end up, you get to middle management and you can never get any higher. Well, you
Mhm.
probably have a belief that you're not capable of anything more. So even if you apply for all of the management positions, even if you go to all the training and get all the certifications and do all the seminars, there's a part of you that believes you're not capable of it. And so you will self sabotage every time. And it
Mhm.
can be to the degree of, like you were talking about, making yourself sick or doing the behaviors that are going to be risky that invite illness into your body right when you want to be healthy.
Mhm.
And it's sneaky and it's ongoing and it does take conscious choice and then committed action to change them.
Mhm.
Because if you don't, you're always going to find yourself up against some kind of wall, self imposed or created by others that you gravitated towards because you're repeating these patterns, because you're reaffirming your beliefs.
Mhm. And when you're not aware of it, then you don't connect those dots, and you think, "Oh, I just got sick," and that's going to be your excuse. You don't think
Hmm.
like that. People a lot of times they don't think that the sickness can be related to, or even like a headache. They can't decide that that was connect actually self sabotage. The headache was the self sabotage And then they just think like, oh, well, this thing didn't happen because I had a headache, not that I caused the headache so I can avoid this thing because I was actually scared.
And it's hard. It's hard to stop
Hmm.
and look at it that way and own your responsibility in that process. Because yes, you had a headache and, that's something your body is doing, but when you really look at it, did you maybe not handle the stress very well? Did you maybe pile on a bunch of things? Did you maybe not be careful about the lighting and you expose yourself to a little more of that computer light or the fluorescent light that you
Hmm.
already know is going to cause that? Did you drink a little too much caffeine knowing that your system wasn't going to process it very well because you were nervous and you were trying to get ready for this?
Hmm.
And I'd say, okay, yeah, but those things have nothing. I was trying to prepare for this. Yes, you were. But the part of you that doesn't believe that you deserve this was like, okay, well, we could stop ourselves here because we know we have these sensitivities, but we're not going to do it. We're just going to push through. We're just going to push through because then we'll end up with this headache and then we have an easy out. And
Hmm.
that's what these things are, excuses and repeated patterns. They're an easy way out. And I want you to give yourself some grace here because this links back to a part of our brain that is centuries old. This is back to the caveman Cro-Magnon. I can't go out of my cave because there's a saber-toothed tiger out there, and I am as likely to get eaten as find something to eat. So
Hmm.
anything new and different and change is literally life and death, and our brains still operate on that.
Yeah.
So we can be in a place where change feels like it is going to be life or death, even though all it is like I might get embarrassed. I
Hmm.
might not get it. I might face failure. But our brain tells us that it is a terrifying, really dire situation because it is trying to protect us. Because we no longer have saber-tooth tigers running around, but we have lots of opportunities for perceived failure or embarrassment or public ridicule. And we convince ourselves that these things are much bigger deals than they are because our brains want us to stay in the nice and the familiar where we're not risking anything.
Hmm. Yeah. And it's one thing as well to be okay, like having a mindset that it's okay if something goes wrong, you know?
Yeah,
That's another good mindset to have. Like, I'm gonna be okay. If something goes wrong, I'm gonna be okay. But in that moment, it's like explosion. It feels like explosion. It's brain still and your body, everything still reacts on that way. And sometimes it takes a little bit longer to calm down.
it
But that's
absolutely does.
okay as well. Like you just have to like, but the most important thing that I've learned that I teach is like to acknowledge what's happening.
Yes.
Saying like, okay, this happened. Now I feel all those emotions, all this explosion just happened because something happened, and like now I have this fear or anxiety or all this going on in my body, but I have to acknowledge that this is happening because of this trigger, and now let myself gather myself together and do the next step that I can.
Yeah. Whatever your emotional state is, it's okay and it's valid. Whatever you feel is okay. And it you can feel that way. Don't ever feel like you have to push these feelings aside. When we're talking about being happy, we're not saying that it's never okay to be anything else. You do
Hmm.
not have to be just this always happy person to manifest. That's not reality.
No.
And it's not even a universal law. There's the universal law of relativity that shows us that for all of the happy moments, there are going to be some unhappy moments because it is only in understanding what is not a happiness can we understand what is. That comparison really helps us appreciate the good. We can't have light without darkness. Everything exists in that duality so that we have perspective of it. So whatever you're feeling is okay and it's good. It is an opportunity to learn. It's an opportunity to learn what happened. It's an opportunity to learn how you can try it again another day. It's an opportunity to learn, if these emotions are way more intense than the situation necessarily should have evoked, why? Because there's likely a belief somewhere in there that is not serving you. And it's a good time to evaluate it. And it's a good time to decide, do I want to continue to identify this way or do I want to change it? It's a great opportunity. And failure is always an amazing opportunity if we can look at it that way. If we can have that Edison mindset, I didn't fail. I just found 100,000 ways not to do it.
Hmm. I have this saying like I didn't like there's no such words like failure for me as well. It's just like it was practice, you know.
Hmm.
I learned
Yeah,
something. I don't consider it failure. I learned it and consider it's like practice, and I learned something, and I learned like okay, that was not the way to do it. I have to find a different way to do it, or I have to find something else to do. Depends
absolutely.
what it is. So.
Absolutely. And that's why I talk about it as perceived failure, because all it is was just finding a way that it didn't work. And now you can find a way that it did work. And, pat yourself on the back because not only did you try something, but now you were one step closer to figuring it out. Because the
Mhm.
faster we fail, the faster we find the way forward.
That is true. The hour went by so fast as well. So it's like we can talk forever with all the things. But I want to give you a chance to talk about more about what you do and the programs that you have. I put your link here as well. And
Thank you.
also Don's, no, Elizabeth's, because I got the surreal Don at the bottom. So I was like, Don. Elizabeth, so the information is in the description as well. So you can get the link from there if you want to get in contact with her. But talk about some other programs that you have.
Thank you. So, yeah, if anything that I've said today has resonated with you, you're interested in learning more, or you want to jump in and find out how we can work together, you can follow me through the links. The links on the link tree will get you to all of my places. And we can schedule a 30-minute free discovery call where we can talk about what are your dreams, what are the things that may be holding you back from getting to them, and how it might look to work together to get you there. Because I really love bridging that gap between where you are and where you are longing to be. And I have a 12-week program where I walk you straight through that. It's called Craft Your Mindset. It works on your beliefs, it works on a whole self healthy life balance, and it works on these amazing, powerful tools that are going to manifest the most amazing things. And it's all from the certifications I've gone through, it's from personal life experience that I continue to use to this day. And that's what it's the beautiful thing about it is that once you have this, you can just keep going and manifesting bigger and brighter futures for yourself, your family, your business, all of the things. And if the belief work that we talked about sounds interesting to you, I actually have a free 4-day workshop coming up the middle of this month. We are kicking off Tuesday, 15th. Tuesday the 15th. It's called Unlimit Your Beliefs, Unlocking Your Limitless Potential. So I can help you start to understand what these beliefs are, start to identify them, and begin to shift them so that they're no longer sabotaging you, but serving you. So if you're interested in that, that's completely free. You can get access through my link. And you guys just know that wherever you're at in this process, that's okay. And there's hope and there's a way forward. And you can absolutely live a happier, more fulfilled dream life if you want to. And you do not have to do it alone. Garrett's here to help you. I'm here to help you. There are so many people who've walked this path before and will show you the way and walk it with you. So know that you deserve it. And please give yourself permission to have the most amazing life because it's waiting for you.
Hmm. That's I love those words. I always ask my guests because the happiness is so unique to everyone. So, what is happiness for you?
Oh my gosh. Happiness for me is having just baked something delicious and curling up with my family, watching my kids make an insane mess of eating something that should be really simple and hearing all the little
Yeah, that sounds amazing. And name three simple, or could be more or less, but like few simple things or like events or like small things that make you feel happy.
Oh, getting to knit, getting to actually sit down and knit for a little bit, that's like my meditation and my me time. It feels so good to just slow down and do that. Getting to read a book
Mm-hmm.
just makes me so happy, and getting to go for a walk, like getting out and getting to go for a walk, especially in the fall. I am so excited. We're coming up because it's my
Oh,
favorite season of all. So getting to go for a walk in the fall, especially with my kids running around and kicking all the leaves.
oh my God, sounds so good. Okay. Do you want to say any other ending thoughts? Or because you already said somebody, if you have anything, any other wisdom thoughts at the end?
I mean, I could go on and on and on, but
I
just
know.
know that you guys, you deserve to be happy, and it's incredibly possible for you. And if it doesn't feel like it, then reach out and get help.
Hmm. I also say like for like one thing is like we used to saying you deserve to be happy, but I'm already trying to tell people also they're allowed to be happy because
Absolutely.
mhm, the one thing is this you're deserved, that's already granted as well. But some people they don't allow themselves to be happy, and I was like, you're allowed to be happy because there's so many rules from like the society and culture, like oh you need to have this and you need to this and you need to be doing that and then you can be happy. No, you're allowed to be happy just the way you want to be happy without anybody telling you how to be happy.
Absolutely. You can be happy every day. You can be happy 1,000 times a day. It's all possible for you.
Okay. Thank you, Elizabeth. It was really good conversation. I hope you all liked it and watch some other episodes with different talks about happiness and make yourself a happy day today. Manifest happy day. Imagine it. Imagine how you want it to be, and it's see how it is. And if it worked, just leave a comment. Tell us how it worked. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.